epic amount of good in the history of the world, which is only really equivalent to the epic amount of bad we've done. Now, I believe a lot of this bad was done in the name of good intent, whatever. It doesn't matter. If people are afraid to acknowledge the flaws in our history and the shitty decisions and shitty ethics of very powerful and influential people who oftentimes, actually most of the time, were behaving in a way with objectives in mind that clearly the people themselves weren't aware of anyway. So you can't, I don't call that person a representative, and I actually would call that person treasonous, but that's just me. Our elected officials have to take control back from this deep state. And the problem is that there are so many crossovers. I mean, when I say the deep state, I'm not saying everybody's in a room, but, is John McCain unreasonably pro defense contractor? Yes. Absolutely. Is it acceptable that every man, woman, and child in the United States pays $8,000 a year into the defense industry? For what? Do you think that there is an invader out there that we don't know about? Maybe there's a little island off the coast of Brazil, maybe, that we don't know about, but man, they have a military complexity. We know that we are militarily superior in the world, to everyone. And that includes China and Russia. But that's the thing, is I don't believe that China and Russia necessarily, I mean, yes, they want to be superior, but I don't think that there would be an animosity about it if it wasn't such a vocal thing in the media in the United States and even in Europe. I mean, the painting of global competitors, because that's what it is. They're not enemies. They can't be enemies because the financial welfare of the nation making the statement is always more important when it comes to, say, defending another nation, a neighboring nation. The potential gain or loss for, say, Russia when you're talking, say, Crimea, okay? The potential win or loss, gain for Russia, that's what is being weighed in by Russia. It doesn't have shit to do with Crimea. And that's where, I just don't think that we can be reasonable and say that as a country, or just as trying to draw these stupid borders, like, the fact that this was a Russian troll farm, If this were an American troll farm, what would have happened? They would have tried to make hell out of it. They would have tried to find a way to blow that up, but there's a little problem in the United States that would have gotten in their way, and it is the First Amendment. It is the freedom to express. The freedom to express even... Actually, the First Amendment is guaranteed more so to express about expressing controversial decisions, because those are, or not decisions, controversial opinions, because those are the ones that need defending. The status quo doesn't need to be defended. Now, granted, there's a whole lot of actors in the especially news media, because these are not news people. If you are going on the air and knowingly bullshitting the public because that's what you're paid to do, you can bottom line it any other way. That is the end result, is you know what you're espousing is garbage, but you're going online with, or on the air with the authority and the sway that you hold. Or you're going in front of them as a representative of, say, Congress. Let's say your name is Nancy Pelosi, and you're making some outrageous claims now too. And, you know, impeach 45. Yes, I know it's not Nancy. I'm just, whatever. Talking about impeachment because you do not like someone and you do not feel that whatever you do, without being able to look at the flaws of the former president of your own party and how there's, you're talking about maybe some bars being set a bit high in retrospect. But anyway, the whole thing is if everything plays out, you can see the deep state coming at the people through various measures. One of them is using national security as a reason to round people up and hold them as political prisoners in what would fulfill the conspiracy theory definition of some of these FEMA camps. A martial law-esque society, period of time where the president could declare martial law, but the reasoning behind doing that, I don't know. I mean, it depends on how you stipulate it, because martial law can also blow up, and I mean, there are two still opposing factors here that are both as of now official, and both still carry official weight in law. Now, obviously, there's some question about whether it should be there. There's much question. But let's say that, and I'm just pretending here, not that the CIA is a deep state run organization, but let's pretend that it were. I mean, just for shits and giggles, let's say that the CIA was a state or a deep state sponsored through the CFR, which created it, and then that created their main intervention has been into Wall Street and into the drug industry and the arms industry, because the United States has been the number one distributor of drugs and weapons throughout the world for many years. But anyway, so let's say the CIA was a deep state body, and And therefore, their ideology was currently opposed to that of the Trump master. And so, okay, if that were the case, well, here's the thing. The CIA still has a lot of official authority right now because they are an official intelligence organization. So they can still do a lot of shit. They can do same stuff Trump could do. You know, I mean, both sides. Here is the ugly, nasty bitch about this, is that this could turn out so brutally ugly that you could have FEMA camps that, I mean, it would look, the game Red and Blue kind of give you an idea. You could have these two sides that are opposing one another that both have fucking, you know, internment camp setups for people that they, from their point of view, view as inflammatory, dissidents. So that's one route, the FEMA camp operations. Another route, cut off the money supply, and not the credit supply, the cash supply. Because here's the thing, is that if you are, say, let's pretend that there were one person in the world who, if they made any decision about currency on the planet, they just, boom, in effect, it would happen. Boom, they'd make it happen. Let's say that that's the case. Not that it is, but of course there is. But no, let's say that did exist. As much focus as can be put on the digital digital transactions because of their traceability, and thereby the intelligence agency's ability to effectively use finance to track those of differing agendas. That's why you would see a limitation, which of course the Federal Reserve could, and the Secret Service could. This was what I originally thought. The Secret Service could simply just come out and say that that counterfeiting has gone out of control, and so they're cutting back on the cash supply to curb counterfeiting in such dark and unstable times, you know, in our nation. And I can see that happening, and then by cutting off the cash supply, a lot, you know, you are, you know, making demands that you have some type of an account where electronic currency is the main source of how your funds are spent. You would draw more people into the system initially because people would need these accounts. So people that had been relying on cash, which there's very few people left who do it. Is it a smart choice? If you want to stay off the grid as much as possible, of course it is. But in the idea of, do you have anything to hide? Well, that's just because you don't have anything to hide doesn't mean that it's okay to condone someone else to invade your privacy. There does not have to be a reasoning for something to be wrong. You can't take just the closest referenceable thing and say, well, you know, you don't need freedom of, you know, you don't need the right to privacy if you don't have anything to hide. Okay, so we all have shit to hide. So if you really feel that, that's fine, because you may not think that you have a uniquely traceable and buildable profile